Dr. Chance. What's his name? Doctor, forgetting him. Anyway, if you want another doctor, however, you might find another doctor with a totally different regimen. After doing some research, it was discovered that there are certain patterns of treatment you can use, groups of medications that work for our population, right? And giving them in certain ways, and one doesn't work, you increase it, it doesn't work, you add an next one, or you start something else. There is another, the HEARTS initiative. It's an initiative because it's just starting, but it's that HEARTS program, right? Which is going to be started. It's actually already started, right? And should extend over the whole of Grenada and the entire Caribbean, because we found that our population responds to those medications for lowering the blood pressure. It doesn't mean that you still don't have to exercise and keep the salt away and keep the fat and the cholesterol down and all the rest of it, right? And drink a lot of water. It doesn't mean that. It means that you should follow a certain regimen. So something might happen, your pressure might go up, you go to hospital, doctor will put you back on, get your pressure back down to normal, and he puts you back on that something that falls within the heart initiative. So when you go to your doctor, ask your doctor about the heart's treatment, more than one heart, okay? So that we can have our pressure in the right place. And we haven't mentioned what you might feel if your pressure goes up anyway, because some of us, we say we don't have symptoms. When your pressure gets very high, there's symptoms you may have. You may find that you have blurry vision or double vision, but those are already dangerous signs of real danger. You may be lightheaded, sometimes you faint. Some people feel very tired. And of course, you get a headache at the back of your head. That headache, that nuclear. Your heart palpitates because your heart is beating because your heart is really working under a lot of pressure, right? And it might not be working as well as it should be. And of course, you have nosebleeds. You know what a nosebleeds, Godfrey?
Yeah, I know of people who do have that. Yeah.
Right, and it's actually a way that it alleviates the pressure, because what you do is open a vessel, which doesn't break in your brain, thank God, and it takes a little bit, pressure drops a little. So often it's basically protecting you from having had a stroke. And of course, you can have shortness of breath because you may be getting a heart attack or not, but it's just because there's so much going on in your chest that your poor heart can't work as well as it should. And then some people may have nausea. And if you have vomiting, it's really, really bad, because it means that your pressure in your head is really, really very high. And it's usually what we call projectile vomiting. It's not like a retching. It's that vomiting that will take down the wall. All right? So those are some of the symptoms. When you see that, you know that your pressure is really, really, really high, and you need to seek emergency.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about the risk factors. I mean, you did mention things like smoking and so, but you may hear someone talk about there's some conditions that run in the family. Family history. Let's talk about family history and hypertension. If you from a family,
spoke about that, I told you that there's always if your parents have hypertension, you have a greater risk. One parent, I can't remember what percentage. I know for diabetes it's 75%, but if your parents have hypertension, you are at a greater risk. So if that's running in your family,
mm-hmm.
and you kind of know, right? Who will have? So that's the genetic part of it. As you get older, you have a greater possibility of having high blood pressure. But like I said, it doesn't mean that because you're young, you don't have hypertension. Okay? Your overweight and inactivity and your diet. Those are among the 5 things. Alcohol is another risk factor for high blood pressure. Okay? And there's some other forms of hypertension that can be cured, like people with abnormality of the kidneys, type 2 and stuff. The other thing, but that is secondary hypertension. Okay? and that is secondary. What we talk about is that idiopathic or that primary hypertension. We often can't find any reason for. So apart from your age, like I said, as you get older, right? I don't know about gender, because I don't think we have any gender preference for high blood pressure, but certainly. We find, however, in the Black race that we have people who look like us tend to be at a higher risk for having high blood pressure. And so that tells us even more that we need to screen very early, and we need to take precautions before we develop hypertension. We talk about family history, we talk about obesity, we talk about lack of exercise. We talk about tobacco fleetingly, but tobacco is a big factor. And now we talk about vaping, because you can vape with liquor, sugar, and water, but you can also vape with nicotine. And nicotine is known to be one, very, very addictive, found in the tobacco that we buy, the cigarettes. And it's known to be very addictive, so we use it all the time. But nicotine hardens your arteries. So tobacco, we talk about tobacco killing 50% of the people that engage in it. Hypertension and heart attack and strokes and other things, loss of limbs and other things are things that come with tobacco. Certainly high blood pressure. If your potassium is low, you can also, we might tell you need to have a balance.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have high thing, you would also have, if you have high sodium, your potassium might be a little low. All right. What other question? You asked me something else.
Right. Yeah. I was asking about the risk factors, but a couple of the questions. Someone with hypertension, aside from the regular heart attacks and strokes that people are very fearful of, are there other conditions that can result from hypertension? Let's say, for example, I think it is widely known that people with diabetes can end up with serious kidney problems. Can people with hypertension end up with kidney problems as well?
So we know that people with diabetes almost invariably have high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. Not so much the other way. Because you have hypertension first doesn't necessarily mean that you have diabetes. But if you have diabetes, you are quite likely. Because diabetes also is a disease of the blood vessels. It attacks the blood vessels. So you have high cholesterol when you have diabetes, your blood pressure is going to go up if your arteries get hardened and stuff. One of the things you hear me talk about it before. If you have diabetes, even if you don't have hypertension, you have to get your blood pressure down to 110/70 maximum. You have to, because diabetes and hypertension together in the human body are like Bonnie and Clyde. Two really bad conditions that don't care and that will destroy you and destroy your heart. And they attack the same organs. They attack your brain, they attack your vision, they attack your heart, they attack your kidneys. In the case of of diabetes, of course, it will attack your circulation, your legs and stuff. But it's the same way, because remember, if you have this high blood pressure flowing down to your kidneys and all of the blood goes to your kidneys, circulates every time there's one round, a minute, right? It goes to your kidneys. Try to figure out your poor little kidneys trying to control your kidney artery, your renal artery, trying to be able to work on this very, very, very high pressure, and the kidney can get damaged. So having kidney failure can be one of the complications that we need to be aware of. Okay, as much as of course, if the heart muscle has had to work so hard, after a while, it's like when you have a piece of elastic and you keep stretching it, after a while, the elasticity disappears, right? So the heart doesn't have that capacity. The muscles lose their capacity to contract properly, and you get into heart failure.
Right.
That is one of the complications.
Right. So what about can hypertension also affect your vision? We've heard, for example, about high pressure in the eye. Is there any kind of connection? And I'm asking, for.
No. Glaucoma is a different thing, and it has to do with those arteries again in the eyes being identified, especially in a particular part. I can't really tell you about the relationship to hypertension, but you don't have to have hypertension, as far as I know, to have glaucoma. Okay, but it's elevated pressure in the eye specifically. That's what glaucoma is, and it has to do with those blood vessels in the eye.
Right, but can hypertension create vision problems for someone as well?
Yes, it can, because again, at the back of the eyes, where you have those little arteries, you can have. Remember, if you have starch, right? And you put it into a cloth. I'm talking about boiled starch already, right? You put it into a cloth. It probably stay there, right? However, if you start wringing it, you increase the pressure inside, right? And the fluid will come out first. Wouldn't that happen? The spaces in the cloth will open in the same way. What you have, because you have elevated pressure in the eye, in the back of the eye in particular, you can have what you call exudates, fluids that come out of the blood vessels because the pressure is so high and it can't get out as fast, right? And you'll have difficulty with the eye. You can have damage to the macula. You can have damage to the whole of the retina in the eye, where the retina is in the eye, and causing sometimes, most times, irreversible. You can't turn it back. Damage to the eye, and of course, you will have visual challenges.
Right, and finally, what about memory loss, things like that, and hypertension, dementia?
And all of that is related. All of that is related to. You remember just as how you have, if you have a big stroke, you can have little strokes, little tiny strokes, those little vessels, right? Which means that specific. You have bleeding into the brain, but it's so benign, you don't even realize it's so small. But after a while, it starts to limit the circulation to very essentially functioning areas of your brain. So if you look, you'll see what we call microinfarcts. An infarct is an area of dead tissue, right? And you'll see them speckled throughout the brain simply because you've had elevated pressure. Again, if you have diabetes, it's probably worse if you have both of them together. But certainly with hypertension, you can have little problems where you have broken vessels and you don't have bleeding, you don't have appropriate circulation beyond that, and you have things like some forms of dementia.
Right. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about living with hypertension. Because, for example, there are people, and we mentioned obesity, which is one of the major risk factors. But then there are people who you see them, they look well, they look fit, but yet still, and a good example, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he's the former world record holder of the 4 and 200 meters, Michael Johnson. I mean, Michael Johnson was the model athlete, and suddenly got a stroke. I mean, he has, gone through rehabilitation and everything like that, and he's fairly okay now. But you hear of these stories happening. What happens in cases like that? when you have people doing everything right, so to speak. So you eat well, and again, Michael Johnson. I mean, to be that super athlete, you had to be eating well. You had to be taking good care of yourself. I mean, you have to be in good condition to be able to run a 400 meters in 43 seconds or 219 seconds. You know, and lo and behold, out of the blue, the world is shocked. Michael Johnson has a stroke.
Yes, but remember that people still have predisposition to certain diseases, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that genetic thing, one is the aging thing that we don't. Those are factors we don't have control over. Do we eat as healthy when we stop running as when we used to run? Do we always eat healthy? Are we taking other substances? Because some people take enhancing drugs when they're athletes. And I'm not saying that's the situation with Michael Johnson. Mm-hmm. But those things can affect the musculature in your body. Okay? I guess it is in fact very surprising that Mac Johnson would have a stroke. But what are the other factors? Mm-hmm. I can't see.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah.
It does reinforce, however, the fact that we need to keep checking. Mm-hmm. We need to keep screening, and when we discover, should we discover that we have hypertension, do all that is necessary. And then even the period when we're just screening, we have to eat well, exercise, manage our stress, sleep. So you know the whole sleep apnea thing, where people sleep and there's certain times they don't breathe in their sleep. And we found that people who had sleep apnea actually don't, sometimes 2 hours in the night or 6 hours you lie down, you're really not sleeping properly and you're not breathing properly, right? We found that people who didn't sleep were at greater risk for having heart attacks and strokes and high blood pressure to start with. People who get the CPAP, the machine they use to help people with sleep apnea, their blood pressure drops to controllable level for the most part, right? As opposed to the high blood pressure and the risk of having a heart attack, right, or a stroke before using that machine. Sleep is very important. We go there and we take things to keep us awake all night and we party, and then we go and drop asleep. We close the eye, which is basically what it's for 2 or 3 hours. And then next thing, we get up and back to work and then we go, oh, this is at a party tonight. Man, I'm not letting miss my young and I'm leaving it. No. What we expected to do, which is what we expected to do just for life anyway, eat well, eat healthy foods, you know? The claim, and my favorite statement, if you plant a bottle in Grenada, it will grow. We've been having appropriate amounts of rain. Some people get a little more than others. But, you know, we have fresh fruit and vegetables a little more available in the market. And foods, you know, sticking to foods that are low in sodium, avoiding those highly processed foods, because in order to keep them on the shelf, the manufacturers put a lot of salt. Food that is tinned, salt is used in there. Sodium. Read the back of the label. Sodium, how much sodium in there, right? Aim for at least 150 minutes, 15 knots of moderate intensity aerobic activity. Means walking, dancing, that kind of stuff, right? That's moderate. Or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. I don't know how much you're doing. I know I'm not doing that much, and we really should be leading by example. We need to get out there. And moderately, get up and walk, just going for a walk, a brisk walk. That's enough. You have had your lunch, you in St. George's, put on your sneakers and walk downtown and walk back up to the office. Do you remember Dr. Brzezinski?
No, I didn't know him.
Oh, because you come from in rural Grenada. Mm-hmm. Dr. Brzezinski had an office right upstairs where Dr. McGuire's office is in town, right? And as a little girl, you'd see Dr. Brzezinski at a certain time in the lunch hour come downtown, probably had his lunch in his office. He'd walk down Granby Street, right? Walk around, probably 15 minutes, and he'd go back to his office. Mm-hmm. You know? He would walk every day. I couldn't, what is this man doing outside in this hot sun? But I realized a couple lunch times I had seen him. It was his habit. He finished, he gets up, takes a walk downtown, get to meet people, and go back to his office and start the other half of his day, almost afresh. Okay? So food. And there are different health plans. People choose whatever they want. The people who are vegetarian, pescatarian. If you're eating meat, don't eat too much meat. Don't eat too much fat. Don't eat too much fatty meat. Okay? Don't eat, or if you can avoid eating fatty meat at all. And sometimes we say chicken breast. If you grill a chicken breast, you'll be surprised to see the amount of oil that comes out. And that's why people talk about, people talk a lot about getting organic foods, because it's grown, with more care. It's grown in a more salubrious environment. The chicken that we buy commercially in the supermarket come from other stores. You ever see how much fat in the back and neck? Half of it, if you buy 5 pounds of back and neck, you have to throw out. And I suggest you throw out. Don't give that to your dog. Don't give that to nobody. That should go back to the landfill. Okay? Half of it is just fat. And we need to not import those things into the country. That kind of meat is unhealthy. There's no meat in it, because when you take it out, it's just a little piece of the piece of hip bones that are there for people to consume. All right. You can also do strength training. When you're talking about exercise, you can do strength training, right? Weights and all those things, right? For a couple of days. Try and maintain your healthy weight. There is a chart that tells you what you need to weigh if you're healthy, for your heart, for your height and age and stuff, especially for our children, right? And again, we talk again about childhood obesity. If you're fat as a child, you're likely to be an obese adult. So let's make sure that we have our children on the run. I talked about stress. We need to manage our stress. Avoid the things that cause stress. And I know people have financial problems and stuff. Listen, find somebody to talk to. There's a lot of mental health care around. COVID made us recognize how much we needed mental health care in the middle of crisis. For us, some people are just a crisis. Look, January starts so long and it won't finish. People have debts that they need to pay. School fees that they need to pay for the kids to go back to school, for the kids that have gone back to school. There's just a lot to be done. Mortgage after Christmas. And we get paid early in Christmas. So January is already 3 months long, as far as I'm concerned. And some of us, as much as we'd like to budget, it's just impossible, because we just don't have the money that it takes. Because when the light bill comes, the light bill comes. When you have to put petrol in your car, it comes. When water bill comes, when you have to do whatever you have to do, pay the bus in the morning, you have to have the money. So there's no hiding. We talk about sleep. Adults must get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, uninterrupted sleep. One of the other things that keep us from sleeping is caffeine. And a lot of us like to drink caffeine, and we like to do things that make us high. We have to prevent that in our lives so that we can get appropriate sleep. And of course, smoking. If your lifestyle changes aren't enough, you have to get medications. And that is what you and your doctor are going to have to talk about. And like I say, make sure that the HEARTS program is where you can start, because we've seen success with our patients. Monitor your blood pressure, monitor your blood pressure, monitor your blood pressure. Buy a machine. Buy one of the little electronic one. Let your doctor, your nurse, or somebody teach you, the pharmacist, how to put it on, and you can monitor your pressure, right? If you monitor your pressure regularly, you'll be able to see the patterns of how your blood pressure change from one time into the other. Okay? And there are other ways, people, you hear other things. Just be careful of the fad things that come up, okay? Just be careful, because I've seen people do some crazy things, and it doesn't help. It doesn't make any sense. They take strange things that somebody talk about on the internet. The internet isn't always true. If you're concerned, ask somebody who may know. You see something and think it might work. Someone says, "Oh, this make me do that." That's fine. Just make sure you ask somebody who might be able to help you. So those are the things that I think that speak to managing hypertension. And again, like I say, if you have diabetes, it is even more important that you be very, very, very particular about keeping your blood pressure very low as 110/70. Lower, better. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm.
Right, lovely. So we're going to take a short break, very short break. We're going to come back, open the telephone lines, and we'll hear from our
hypotension.
Yeah, then we'll look briefly at hypotension. So stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Hello and welcome to the live Super 6 draw presentation for today, Tuesday, the 28th of January 2025. I am your hostess, Kijan Smith. Super 6 is a multi-jurisdictional game owned by Winlot Inc. and is played within the islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. Tonight's jackpot is valued at $722,000. We'll now get ready to select your free ticket letter. Good luck. Your free ticket letter is I. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back with tonight's winning numbers.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game.
Now you love Super 6 even more.
With more money,
the jackpot galore.
Play more,
win more, have more fun.
With more jackpot money,
Super 6 is my number one.
With the new and improved Super 6 team, the jackpot keep growing and growing
and growing.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game. Super 6, bigger jackpots, more chances to win.
Great news about Super 6. You can play Super 6 combo bets to increase your chances at winning the Super 6 jackpot. Here's how. The combo 5 betting option costs $69. Players have a choice of any 5 numbers, and if you match 5 of the 6 numbers, you win the jackpot. Maybe you prefer combo 7, costing $21. With a choice of 7 numbers, and if you match any 6 numbers out of the 7 numbers, you win the jackpot. How about combo 8? This option costs $84. Players select 8 numbers, and if you match any 6 numbers out of the 8 numbers, you win the jackpot. All numbers chosen should be from a range of 1 to 28. Play combo bets. Remember, with Super 6, there are bigger jackpots and more chances to win.
Welcome back. Get ready for your Super 6 winning numbers. Good luck. The first number is 7. The second number is 21. The third number is 5. The fourth number is 6. The fifth number is 11. And the final number is 24. To recap, your Super 6 winning numbers are 7, 21, 5, 6, 11, and 24. Your free ticket letter is I. Tonight's winning numbers were drawn under the supervision of an auditor from BDO. Please contact your relevant Central Lottery office for further information on the payment of prizes. Thank you all for playing responsibly, and remember, with Super 6 there are bigger jackpots and more chances to win. Our next Super 6 draw takes place on Friday, the 31st of January 2025. Until then, have yourself a wonderful evening.
Get so much more with Quartz Ready Finance, whether it's a furniture upgrade or appliance replacement. It's easy when you shop using Quartz Ready Finance. Get more flexibility by choosing your payment terms, more affordability with low monthly payments, and more access with fast and easy application. Plus, there's no down payment and you make your first payment in 30 days. Get great deals and gifts with select purchase. Get so much more with Quartz Ready Finance, only at Quartz. Bringing value home. Special conditions apply.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Doctor in Call, and tonight we're discussing hypertension, and we've just, discussed in details, the hypertension or high blood pressure. Quite a bit of information, and Doc has, explained all of what is involved so very well. So our telephone line is open. The number is 435-2041. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, you can do so now. The number again, 435-2041. So you can give us a call, or you can post your question on our WhatsApp platform or on our Facebook page. Doc, we have a couple comments here on our WhatsApp platform. So let's just take the first one. Someone says, "Good night, Godfrey. My daughter fell and went into a hypovolemic shock, who died a few hours later. One kidney burst inside of her, and the doc said both kidneys were cancerous. She showed no signs of any kidney problems. What do you think caused the cancer? She was an epileptic."
How old was the daughter?
Well, that's the thing. She didn't say. She just said the daughter fell. But the daughter was epileptic. So I guess this is that's I don't know, how do we. I mean, she's asking what could have possibly caused the cancer. I mean.
But that would depend on your age, okay? Children have, she said both kidneys were cancerous?
Yes, both kidneys were cancerous.
Boy, there's so much layers on that onion. I'm very sorry that you lost your daughter. I don't care what age it was. It's
very unfortunate.
I'm really very, very sorry to hear this. Well, you see, I always ask, why did she fall? Did she trip and fall? Because some people fall because already their blood pressure is so low, right, that they fall. Did she fall and hit herself upon on a piece of furniture? Did she fall off a hill, off a chair, off an embankment? There are lots of questions I'd like to ask. Hypovolemic means that your volume is little. It means that she said one of her kidneys exploded. So I guess, remember I tell you all the blood runs through these kidneys for filtration. So I guess if your kidney is damaged, you're probably bleeding out, but there's no way to collect the blood back to circulate it into your body, especially in that. So that might have been the cause of the hypovolemia, or the low volume of blood in the circulation. All right. I don't know what caused the kidney. I know in very young children, the most common is a Wilms tumor, which is really one cancer, one lesion affecting one kidney. But I don't know. I'm really sorry. I don't know what your daughter was taking. I don't know, because there are things called idiosyncratic responses. So you and I might be taking milk and magnesia. I'm just saying something as benign as that together, right?
Yeah.
Milk and magnesia might give you diarrhea and it might constipate me. Do you understand? Milk and magnesia might slip your stomach and might make me very nauseated. Right? People take omeprazole for the upset stomach. I take omeprazole and it makes me feel very ill. So there's a whole idiosyncrasy. I don't take omeprazole because it makes me feel like I'm going to die. But there's also a thing about medications having the same response that they're supposed to be taken care of.
Right. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because we have another comment or question on our WhatsApp platform, and the individual is saying, they're asking what is good for ulcers. I was having some serious belly pain on Saturday. I slept with it, but Sunday it got worse. I went to the hospital and the doctor said it is ulcers. Right now I'm having a lot of pain, real pain. I'm having some raw oats. I am looking for help, please, thanks. I need help, please. Can't sleep with that pain tonight. And they send a picture of the medication that was given to them, and it is omeprazole.
How much omeprazole?
Well, I'm not seeing it very clear. I mean, the picture is a bit faded, but it looks like omeprazole 20 milligrams, based on what I'm seeing here. It's a little faded, but that's the medication that.
Yeah, but omeprazole 20 milligrams is a little bit. For somebody who claims he's having a lot of pain, it should be 40. Take your omeprazole at night. I tell people to take your omeprazole at night when you have a lot of acid around. You haven't eaten, right? And so you're going to take your omeprazole. But I will advise you that if you continue to have the pain, you really need to go back to the doctor. What color is your stool? Are you bleeding? All of those things are very important. And that's why we don't diagnose and treat here. But for tonight, I'll advise you to stay away from the spicy food, the acid food, Stick to a little bland. You say you have an oats, but you can't put, what do you put in oats? That a lot of sugar and all those stuff. Don't do that.
So say just raw oats, they have it.
All right. Raw oats. And you can have, but double that omeprazole if you're an adult. 40 milligrams is what you should have.
Okay.
20 milligrams is when you kind of, your things kind of under control already, or you just want it for maintenance. But 40 should help. But I tell you, if tomorrow you're still having pain, you need to go back and let somebody look at you. Got the other questions that I would ask. Right. I'm sorry that you're having this.
Yeah, indeed.
Today's Wednesday, today's Tuesday. Yeah, if you're not settling down, you kind of need to go back and see.
Right.
No spicy food, alcohol, no cigarettes, none of those things that can cause your stomach to be sick.
Okay, so there's another comment on the WhatsApp platform. Good night, Godfrey. During the day, my blood pressure is 120/80. Before bed, it will be 130/90 most of the time. What causes this?
So I would ask you, what's happening in your house?
Yeah.
No, it's an external factor. And I tell you, if you take your blood pressure once and just keep the cuff on and take it a second time. Just relax. Take it a second time. Take it a third time. Make sure you take it in the same position as you take it in the daytime. Okay? Just relax. The truth is, if you anticipate that your pressure is going to be high tonight because it was high last night, it's very likely that it's going to be high. I mean, I have patients who are asked to take the pressure at home, and they're worse than when they come to my office, because at least in my office, I would chat them and calm them. Then when they're home, they're scared that they're going to see the pressure is elevated. But if you can have a blood pressure of 120/80, then you can always have a blood pressure of 120/80. But what is it that you eat and eat? When you go and eat salty food, do you smoke? Do you have a drink of alcohol? Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Is there stress in your house? Do you and your husband or your spouse or your partners fall out? Do you wish you'd never come home tonight? Do you understand? Do you worry about living in an unsafe environment? Are your children driving you crazy? You know, what is going on? Look and see what else is around that can trigger off your blood pressure elevation. But I will ask you to repeat it more than.
Right. Just going back to the listener who spoke about the daughter that died. She said she was 35. She was going to get her salary. She forgot something, went back to her room and fell. And, unfortunately.
So that's the point I was making. Which is the chicken, which is the egg? You know? Mm-hmm. Which was the chicken, which was the egg? Hypovolemia. The truth is, I imagine it's easy. She have a cancerous kidney, that any trauma to her kidney can cause a rupture. Mm-hmm. If it's already, pathologically damaged. I'm very sorry. So she may have fell and hit something, and that bleeding was enough. Yeah. However, I don't know what was the cause. I can't tell you what causes cancer. The truth is, there are people who will develop renal cancer. I have not heard of it bilaterally, so that's really interesting.
Right.
And I could ask you, do you have family with cancer? Do you have anybody else who's had renal cancer? Which is another topic for next month, because that's Cancer Awareness Month.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Right. We have a call on the line. Let's see who is there. Good evening, caller. Hello. Good evening. Okay. Well, we're not. We're unable to make contact with the caller. So let me see if we have any other messages on our WhatsApp platform. See what we got. Okay.
So while we're waiting for people, can we start talking about hypotension?
So we can move on to that now. Hypotension. Basically, briefly, what it is, what causes it, how do you deal with it?
My patients come in and they say, I have low blood pressure. Hypotension is generally symptomatic. You feel something. What is it? If your blood pressure goes to lower than 90/60, you can characterize that as hypo or low blood pressure, right? But 90/60 is normal for an adolescent. I guess it comes to the individual. So you, Godfrey, have been not a good boy, right? And you've been running with this 140 over 100, 150 over 90, 160 over 90, and you go to the doctor. You pass my office one, and after I finish cuss you, they take up whatever's left of your dignity and you walk out, right? But you decide, I'm going to manage my blood pressure. Finish drinking the rum, not smoking, and I'm going to take my medication that been given to me, right? And you're really doing it. And your blood pressure goes down to 120 over 70 or 120 over 80, which is, for counting's sake, is normal, right? Generally, that is normal. But you don't feel good. You feel sick. You feel tired. You feel dizzy. You feel weak. You can't concentrate. Because that for you is low blood pressure, especially if it comes down precipitously.
Right.
Right? If it happens all of a sudden. So your cups of walk when you're 160 over 90 and you're cool. a good man, a good, right? And that's for months, years. That's what you are. And one day, somebody swipes the dignity of yourself and say, look, you need to take this medication and drop dead. And take it and you start to feel not well. And that's probably because your pressure has come down too suddenly, right? That is all part of the whole hypotension picture, right? Where you have symptoms. I'm usually concerned about patients' numbers, especially when that pulse pressure, when we're talking about pulse pressure, becomes normal, right? If it's under 20, I start worrying. Okay, I become concerned. Ask my patient to expand their volume, so they're dehydrated. Tell them, go drink a little extra water, or drink some rehydration fluids or something, right? Orange juice, whatever you want to drink, to expand your volume. Healthy. Hypertension is a condition where you have that lowering of your blood pressure, but to the point where it feels, I'm not feeling good. Okay? And like you said, what might be low blood pressure for one person?
Yeah, it might be
okay for another person. Okay? Low blood pressure, you worry about when you have symptoms that become very noticeable to you, right? You might have dizziness, you might have fainting. There are times when it can be life-threatening, like our sister who just told us about a 37-year-old daughter who falls, maybe because her pressure is already low, I don't know. Right? I don't know if fall is what caused a ruptured kidney. I don't know.
She was also epileptic, huh? Yeah, so that was...
Probably had a seizure, yes. But what I'm saying, I don't know why she was having low blood pressure. And like I tell you, there's a gentleman who died while walking on his treadmill. He had an event. He fell down and hit his head. But did he fall because he had a stroke?
Mm-hmm.
Or did he have injury to his brain? You know, again, the whole chicken and egg. What was really the cause in a situation? Did his pressure drop or did his pressure go too high so he couldn't have his balance, right? Or did he drop and then injure his head and die? Okay, so those are the things you have to take into account. There's nothing that's etched in stone that's so. Every patient is a different individual, right? Mm-hmm. So there are a couple of kinds of hypotension. There's orthostatic. So I remember one of my friends used to be an athlete, had gone off to, I think, Arizona State University on a scholarship as a basketballer, very tall guy. And he had an accident. I think it's a car accident, but he had an accident and fractured his femur, which is the long bone, right, from the hip to the knee. In a fracture of femur, you have to be very cautious because that's the largest bone and it bleeds like a blood vessel. However, he was fine, but he spent months just laying down. So this guy with all this usual excellent muscle tone, he's never been a fat person really, but right, is lying in a hospital. And on the day they take his cast off, months later, they ask him to stand. So he put his foot over the edge of the bed and stood. What do you think happened?
He fell.
He dropped. All 6'6" of him dropped to the ground because his blood pressure, that sudden standing up, is called orthostatic, right? It's related to your position, right? That's what he had. Okay? So if you're sitting up suddenly, like sometimes people who are on medications, they get up in the morning and they feel the whole world spin. Take your high blood pressure medication at night, but all of a sudden you get up and you go, that's orthostatic hypotension, right? Dehydration might cause that. We've seen our children have that when they run and they don't hydrate themselves properly. Like I say, long-term bed. People are pregnant because all the blood tends to sit on your foot because the baby pressing on the vena cava. There are medications because they cause your blood vessels to dilate that can make your blood pressure drop. And even taking your regular blood pressure medication can cause you to have low blood pressure. Right? Because it's taking it to extreme, right? And of course, older people. One, because the muscle tone is not so good. The tone and the arteries not so good. They tend to have more challenges with dehydration. Old people, they don't eat much, right? Their muscles, and they're not very abundant. So everything is kind of falling apart. There's another thing called post-meal or postprandial hypotension, where your blood drops 1 to 2 hours after eating. Tends to happen more. I guess because of where the blood is that when you eat, your blood will go to where it's more essential, right? If you have a meal, right, you'll have a lot of the blood flowing around the abdominal cavity, around your stomach and the GI tract. All right. Older people have disease like Parkinson's need to get risk for hypotension, right? Lifestyle changes might help to ease that. You might need to, especially postprandial syndrome, like eating small meals, eating a little bit of carbohydrate, drinking water, and of course stay from alcohol. Because alcohol makes your blood vessels dilate, right? You know that? If you consume alcohol, blood vessels dilate, it also means that you will have you have, even if you have this amount of blood, you have wider blood vessels, so there's less pressure on the arterial wall, so your blood pressure goes down. We know about the hypertension that happens when you're out on parade. We've seen police drop, we've seen children on parade, children who go to the park when the Queen come in and they put us out in the hot sun to wave the flag and then give us a soda and a cake. Right? We've seen soldiers who've been standing on parade hours drop.
Yeah.
That's because of blood pressure, right? And sometimes it's just because your brain not really coordinating well. It can happen without it being, right? Just that mechanism where the heart and your brain might not be working well together. And then in patients who are older and stuff, where the one part of the system doesn't work, similarly the arteries, the heart pumping and stuff doesn't work very well. That can cause thing. And of course, if you have a lot of organs that are not working very well, they have atrophy because of age, then you can have hypotension, right? Hypotension, orthostatic. You're lying on your pressure high, the pressure will drop. Okay? Because the just doesn't flow normally. Right? So, what happens when you have hypotension? Have you ever fainted because of blood pressure drop? Have you?
You broke up there for a little bit. I missed that.
What happens when you have hypotension? What symptoms you think?
Well, you'd most likely probably feel dizzy, things like that.
Dizzy?
Yeah.
It's head. Turn my head. The room gets dark. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your vision starts because vision is not an essential function. So that is going to go very early. Okay. You faint. You feel very tired.
Mm-hmm.
You can have trouble focusing. Somebody talking to you and you really can't really give. It's very frightening for the people who are observing what's going on, right? What do we have to look for, however, if somebody has have recurrent hypotension and there's not a reasonable explanation? Then I need to see if the person's heart is functioning well, right? Because the heart needs to pump the blood, so it's maintained at a certain pressure as it goes around the circulation, goes around the entire body. So if you find that your heart is pumping blood, but you're faint, you need to check and make sure that the heart's working well, right? Remember we talked about having high blood pressure and the heart so long that the muscles get flaccid? Yeah. So when your heart starts failing, heart failure, you can have hypotension, because the heart not pushing the blood so far, it can't push it out as far as with enough strength to get around, so your blood pressure can fall.
Right.
Look, they're saying here that if your blood pressure drops by 20 milligrams of mercury, so let's say like most time you come from 160, 90, and then you stand up on a drop, or I give you medication and your pressure drop down to 120 over 80, and it's like, I can't stand this, my pressure is too low, right? So even taking our patients' pressures down, we have to do it slowly and remind them that you might get up and feel like you're going to faint. So when you get up in the bed in the morning, you sit at the edge of the bed for a little while, right? Take a little time, spend a minute or two, sit down, and then when you're going to stand up, you take your time and stand up slowly, right, up forward, okay? So that the blood can be able to be distributed all over, especially to your brain, right? It's funny because your brain is the most essential organ when it comes to circulation, right? But your brain is at the topmost part, so the heart has to be functioning enough to take it up there. So take your time and let it, let the heart, let that brain heart communication occur, and that it preferentially sends the blood up to the brain before sending it elsewhere, and making sure that you can do well.
We have a caller, Doc. Let's see if we can get that call in. Doctor and call, good evening. Hello. Good evening, Doctor and call.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Me?
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm the person with the ulcer.
Oh, with the ulcer, okay.
Yeah. So I was just calling to see if I could get a little help. I just had oats and I'm feeling a little, I find give my belly a little easy now.
Right. So yeah.
I think what she said.
Yeah. No. So she's a person with the ulcer, and she was saying she had the oats and it's feeling a little better. But I know, Doc, you had suggested because based on the picture you sent, caller, I think I was seeing like 20 milligrams of omeprazole.
No, it's not 20, 50.
50.
50, yeah, 50 milligram, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Well, it's
there's not 50 milligrams of omeprazole.
Well, that's what
50. And then I have a next capsule, but I can't pronounce the name. It's very, very, very little and difficult to pronounce.
Okay. I'm not sure, but I mean, like, as I said, the picture was fading, but
this is a bad place to seek counsel because we can't run a click on the thing. It is not legal for us to do consultation.
Homemade parazole, 20 milligrams.
20 milligrams, yes.
And it's a 20, and it's a gastro resistant capsule.
Yeah. Well, it's actually 20 milligrams, she said. Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's a double.
So the doctor is saying that you need to double it, so you take 2 instead of
take 2. Take 1 capsule every morning, 30 minutes before breakfast for 28 days.
Okay.
So I'm telling you to take it at night. Take 2 tablets at night.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, caller?
If in another couple of days you don't feel better, you have to go back to the doctor. If your stools get black, you certainly have to go back to the doctor.
The stool in that black. The pain starts in the bottom of my belly and then come like under my breast, right up under my breast. The pain and very hard hurting.
Okay.
Yeah, what I'm saying, do you have high blood pressure or anything like that, diabetes?
Yes, I do.
Did they check your pressure and your blood sugar?
Before, yes, I did. Yeah.
No, when you went to the hospital, or your blood pressure and your sugar checked?
Yes, I did that, yeah.
What was your blood sugar results?
I didn't even ask them, I didn't go see, no. I didn't ask them and they didn't tell me.
You have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
What was your blood pressure?
Yeah, oh, that is what I didn't know that too, because I was in so much pain. I was crying, real pain.
So that's relevant. I know you're in pain, but I want you to create the habit that when you go to your doctor, what is my pressure? What is my sugar? Write it down here for me.
Yeah, normally.
Because at the end of the day, you're responsible. Trust me. Yeah. Even if you went back to the hospital tonight and saw the same doctor, she's not going to remember, or he's not going to remember what he saw. Okay. It is your responsibility to keep abreast of what your readings are like.
Okay.
So, if the pain doesn't go away, you have 2 omeprazole tonight. I will say take 2 more tomorrow morning. Okay. Tomorrow night. If you're still having pain, you need to go to the hospital.
Okay.
And if your stools get black, you go to the hospital.
No,
I didn't hear.
No, I was asking you about the oats.
No, don't ask me about oats. I only know you can have the oats, yes, because it will mop up some of that acid. But I'm saying to you, you need to get your sugar checked. You need to make sure you're taking your sugar medication. You need to make sure you're on your diet. You need to make sure you take your blood pressure medication. And if the pain continues, you go back to the hospital. And if your stools become dark, I talk about dark like black polish, you need to go to the hospital.
Yeah. Okay, caller. All right, so take the 2 tablets. Yeah, all of us. Yes. All right. Okay. Well, Doc, we're almost, we're practically out of time. So I just wanted to explain for the people who get scared when their blood pressure drops. If you don't have any symptoms, don't worry. Because people say, doctor, I stopped taking tablet for my pressure because my blood pressure, I have low blood pressure. What is low blood pressure? How do you feel? If you feel unwell, if you feel faint, if there's an episode where you get cold and clammy and almost unconscious, confusion, especially like you see it in older people, if your skin becomes very pale or kind of darkish, there's hypertension. I've seen some boys out singing the other day and the blood pressure drop and they get very pale, right? If you have rapid, shallow breathing, if you have weak and rapid pulse. And remember that usually if you have continuous ongoing low blood pressure that is symptomatic, there may be something underlying, like your heart having problems. You have other stories, you may have anemia and other stuff. So you need to go see the doctor, right? And we're here to hear what you say, but we're also here to tell you need to go out there and be seen and touched. This is not where we do consultation. This is where we make you aware of what are the conditions that can be bothering you, and so that you can go out and seek care. Don't be afraid to ask a doctor questions. If you worry, if you're scared, write them down and say, doctor, I have some question. And I was worried I wouldn't remember them because I don't remember either when I reach where I go, okay? So don't be afraid. Write your questions and ask a doctor, all right? Sometimes situations are quite complicated. Sometimes doctors are working under pressure and they might forget stuff. But if you go one day and you get treated and it doesn't happen, you don't see anything happening, any improvement, you have to go back. All right? And your doctor is duty bound to look at you with even more intensity. Like I said again, in the case of hypotension, if you're taking medication and it comes down and you're not feeling anyway, glory, hallelujah. All right? If your pressure comes down, your pulse gets rapid, and you have pain somewhere, it may mean that you can have a ruptured artery somewhere. You can have a ruptured aorta. You can be bleeding internally somewhere. So those are the things you have to be aware of, right? But if you're out in the sun all day fishing and dancing on the beach and you're drinking no water and you're drinking beer and you're peeing every 2 hours, right? Then that might be a different story. You might just be a little low volume. Fill back your volume up, drink rehydration fluids, drink coconut water, drink juices and stuff, and see how you feel. You might just have not had enough food and you feel hungry and tired, all right? And it's not necessarily your pressure. There are a myriad of things, but just be very aware. And if you can't solve your problem, we'll find a doctor. Yes.
And I just want to remind us that we still have flu going around. There's still a lot of mosquitoes. I've seen a lot of mosquitoes this week. Remember, there's still dengue. Remember to keep up to date with the new influenza, which is, the new virus, which is kind of part of a common cold. Remember to still wash your hands and wear a mask, especially people who are prone to becoming very ill. If you have cancers, if you are older, if you're a little child, right, and stuff, you're at greater risk. If you're pregnant, you're at greater risk. And there's still COVID, okay? So please, masks are still in fashion. If you know you get colds very easily, wear thy masks. Okay, drink a lot of fluid. It's raining, so please boil your water. I see that the water has become a little turbid, a little bit of thing. So please boil your water. And NAWASA is doing the best it can, but you have to do even better than NAWASA by boiling the water, especially for your children. At this time, we're not going to have gastro and all the challenges. We have enough other problems otherwise.
Yes, indeed. Well, Doc, it was quite a very interesting discussion. I'm quite happy that we were able to at least get through that, with information. And I thank the callers for their contribution. But callers, let me just say this to you. And Doc mentioned it earlier. The program is to share information. And while we would like to know what is going on, but it's important for your wellness, your health and safety, that you visit the doctor. And you can visit Dr. Nixon. She's at the Bruce Street Mall on the second floor. That way she will be able to, do a proper diagnosis, proper examination and give you a diagnosis. And of course, start whatever treatment you may require. So please keep that in mind. We share information here, but, your medical problem will not be solved on the program. You need to go visit Doc. Again, she's at the second floor at the Bruce Street Mall. Go there, sit, chat with her, explain to her, ask her questions. Don't be afraid. She's told you that you need to ask questions, so question her. And of course, get the answers, get all the information, get what you need to know so that you can start the process of healing. Yeah, and taking care of yourselves. So we thank you for your contributions. We thank you for your call. The lady who spoke about her blood pressure being 120/80 and then 130/90 before bed says, Doc, that I don't drink or smoke. I avoid salty. I am very happy and comfortable. I have no husband. So she's very happy. Very happy.
Water. Eventually, take your pressure over, because probably it's just a little bit of anxiety when you get home in the night and you're worrying about going to work tomorrow and stuff. If your blood pressure is taken once, it's kind of not going to give you exactly what you are. Sit down, relax, take it once again. Don't cross your legs, put your feet flat on the ground, right? And just relax. Yeah. And you'll find that the pressure actually comes down. I do it with my patients in my office, and they're supposed to be anxious there. Once I tell them, I want to take it again, just relax. We talk, and we chat, and I take the pressure, and it comes down.
Yep.
If it keeps going, I probably might need the medication modified, because I'll tell you what I'm worried about with that pressure. If it goes up late in the night, at 4 o'clock in the morning, your blood pressure is going to jump up, and I would hate that it jumps up too high and put you at risk for like a stroke. So let's try and fix that, okay? Let's try and fix that now and see how we work. How it works out from here.
Yes,
Thank you for sharing.
So thank you very much again, Doc. We look forward to being back on Tuesday of next week where we can continue sharing information. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your questions, and we look forward again to being with you. Tomorrow you can join me again. I'll be here from 6, and at 8 o'clock tomorrow we've got a special one. We're talking Kaiso. We'll be talking to Miranda Joseph and Selvin Noel. So be sure to join us for that. Very interesting. It's going to be a lot coming out. So until then, do have a good night. Remember, folks, we expect little showers throughout the course of the evening. The temperature tonight is going to drop to about 23.5 degrees Celsius. So keep that in mind. Let me just see if I can quickly just share the actual weather forecast with you before we go. What do we have here? So the weather this evening. All right, where are we here? Right, so the weather is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with light to moderate showers which may become heavy at times. Yeah, there are no warnings though, but the temperature tonight 23.5 degrees Celsius, so it's gonna be cold. Yeah, have your blankets ready. The wind east northeasterly to east southeasterly at 12 to 22 miles per hour, so there's gonna be some wind tonight tonight as well. Seas moderate to rough, waves 6 to 8 feet in northeasterly to easterly swell. And of course, the marine advisory remains in effect. Tides, they were low at 9 p.m. and will be high again at 3 a.m. All right, so keep that in mind, folks. We're going to have a little shower later on, but it's going to be cold, so get ready to cuddle up and have a good night's sleep. Until tomorrow, please God, thank you very much. Have a good night. All the best. I'm gone. Bye-bye.